Okay, so we've talked about the basics of men's healing so far. And the basics, of course, are connecting to action and using honoring and being pulled into the future. But what I left things at the last time was, but why didn't I see this stuff before? What kept me from seeing it? And the reason I couldn't see it was because men's pain is invisible. You cannot see it. It's very, very difficult to see unless you know what to look for. And what we're going to talk about today is the first reason why it is invisible. Because there's 4 good reasons why. And the first one is because a man's pain is taboo in our culture. It's taboo. Nobody wants to touch it. Nobody wants to touch it, or to feel it, to nothing. So men know that their pain is taboo, so they don't go out in public and emote all over the place, right? Because they know that it's basically a taboo, that people don't want to touch it. Now, where did this whole thing get started? Where did it get started that men's pain is taboo? And of course, it starts very, very young. Little boys are told what? They're told that big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. And yeah, we all know about that. We all know what a travesty it is to tell little kids that they can't have emotions. But there's another side of that people don't usually think about that's definitely there. But it's a passive side. And that's this. When parents or loved ones tell little boys, big boys don't cry, they're not only telling them not to emote, they're also telling them that they won't be there to hear it. That they don't have them as a support. They won't be available to them for dealing with their pain. Get the idea? In some ways, this is worse. It's worse than just saying, don't cry. It's worse than that. It's saying, because I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there, and probably nobody else will be there either. Well, it doesn't take too many times of that before boys get the general idea that their feelings are probably not going to be something that everybody's going to want to hear about. Women have a hard time understanding that too. Although it's an interesting aside that women will usually say, I want a man who's in touch with his feelings. I want a man who's in touch with his feelings, right? Have you heard that before? Yeah, but what is she really saying? She doesn't want a man who's in touch with his feelings. She wants a man who's in touch with her feelings. You see what I mean? She wants a man who's going to be able to help her emote and deal with things. It's a very rare woman who's able to really sit with a man who is in emotional pain and accept him for what he is. I remember when I first started doing therapy with men, gracious, I'd sit with men and I'd listen to them. I'd encourage them to tell me about what was the most painful part. They'd look at me. They'd say, do you really want to hear that? They were incredulous. They didn't believe that someone would actually want to listen. And that's kind of what a lot of us men walk around with. This sense that other people probably don't want to listen to our stuff. And so we tend to try and make it invisible so that people can't see it, but we can process it. And that's the point. Men do process their emotions. They just do it in ways that most people don't see. And the reasons for them not seeing it are really good ones. And if you think you are not a part of this, you probably got another thing coming. Let's do an exercise and you can see how much you are a part of this. I do this for the workshops that I give around the country with mostly therapists. And I have them, sit down, be quiet, close your eyes, and imagine you're going to your favorite restaurant. And you're being seated at your favorite restaurant, and over there at the corner table, there's a woman crying. She's crying at that corner table. What's the first thing that goes through your mind? And they all go, oh, yeah, she's upset, she's hurt, someone did her wrong. How can we help? What can we do to help her out? Even a little bit. That's the sense that people have. She's crying, she's been hurt, she's been left. What can we do to help? How can I intervene? How can I do something, right? Okay, erase that image. And now go back to the same restaurant where you're walking in, you're being seated at the restaurant. At the same corner table over there is a man. He's crying. What's your first thought about him? Most of the therapists said the same thing. They said, there's something wrong with that guy. Maybe he's drunk. Walk around him. Avoid him. Stay clear of that guy. There's something wrong with him. Do you get the idea? Even these therapists had this thing inside that said, avoid men in emotional pain. If it's bad enough where he's got to expose it in public, it must be horrible is the thought. Right? Think about yourself. How did you respond to that? Was it different, your response to the man and the woman? I know when I first started doing this, I realized, ooh, even I had that response to women. I wanted to help the woman, but the man I was not so sure about. Is there something wrong with that guy? Should I sidestep him? Did you have the same kind of thing? Can you start to see how men have a different way to process things because they want to make their pain invisible so that most people can't see it? And the point is, men have been shamed over and over and over again. And it's this shaming that encourages men to be quiet about it. Plus, I think that what we've talked about so far, the action, the honoring, and the future, all harmonizes with the male nature and the way we like to do things. So we'll leave it there and we'll go to number 2, reason for invisibility next time. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and come visit me on Patreon. And men are certainly good. Very invisible, but good.